Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again with everybody's favorite end game mode, Whimpering Wastes, and how Kuro Games has unfortunately gone ahead and f***ed up again. With more HP inflation, more annoying ass mobs, more shilling, and perhaps the biggest issue of all, a design change that has made it so that the older characters feel really bad compared to some of the prior releases. So we've taken all the different looks at the back end, all the different looks at some of the older resets that we've had before, just to point out how bad this incoming 3.31 actually is. So without further ado, let's start off with the biggest issue right off of the bat. And that isn't even with the tokens, that isn't even with like the buffs and stuff. It is with the enemies. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the bastards over here that you're seeing appearing on the first half and the second half. So this is the big sort of realization that most people likely have had just from playing Infinite Torrents a single time. HP's gone up. And HP has gone up kind of tremendously compared to the last reset. If you're looking for an exact number that the HP has gone up, it's about a 20% on every single type of mob imaginable, to the point where small mobs are having like 200k HP, medium-sized mobs have like 330k, and the big ones, the big boys, ladies and gentlemen, close to around 600k HP. And if you're wondering why this is a bit of an issue, why this is a concern, well, don't worry. I've got plenty of gameplay clips from the most recent reset testing on a bunch of different servers with a bunch of different teams to show you how it is. This is going to be Exhibit A over here, right? Exhibit A, and this is going to be Imith. And we all know how Imith works, right? This is her big Giga Nuke Gundam attack, where when you cast this, you expect to basically kill the wave. Everyone expects that when they use this insane ability, this attack over here is probably going to wipe out the wave completely and then let them move on to the next set of enemies. And it hits appropriately. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, it might be hard to see, that is 574k damage. Nearly a goddamn 600k nuke. That is 574k damage. Bro, they lived. A fresh 3-cost wave in Whimpering Wastes. A 3-cost wave in WhiWa, bro. This is the lead up to it, by the way. We're dealing with these guys being tanky as shit. Fresh wave comes in. I guess we do 21k damage to them right there. Then we liberation on top of that. Oh, here we go. Boom. So they really took like 590k damage, right? We gotta count that. We gotta count that previous attack over there. That's goddamn near 600k damage, bro, and they still lived. That's kind of insane. That they can now tank the hardest hitting nuke, one of the hardest hitting nukes in the game, an attack before that that dealt like 20k damage, and still be alive afterwards. This is insane. And if you're wondering if that was just a fluke, if that was just a bug, if the enemies just casually had like a bit of a last stand passive and they were just living with 1 HP, don't worry, guys. I've got another gameplay reveal for you over here. Check this one out. Boom! One-shot them all.
This vessel,
521. 892. This is a fully charged Hiyuki liberation. Actually, let's replay it so I can show you how fully charged it was. Oh, here we go. This is gonna be a good cast right here. Boom! One-shot them all.
This vessel.
So our first cast kills the rest of the enemies. Our second cast kills the 3 that freshly spawned in. Ah, there we go. And these bitches are still alive. Bro, somehow these bitch-ass motherfuckers tanked a 523k fully charged Hiyuki liberation. Bro, and you might be saying, oh, Saint, like, your Hiyuki's just dog shit. Bro, she built AF. Bro, she powerful AF. And remember, she kills herself every time she uses that move, and then she didn't even destroy them. And you want to know what the big issue is? Is that this attack over here, the one that you saw deal,
follow my moves. if you can.
all this damage, right? Oh, here we go. This is going to be a good cast right here.
Full
Boom.
wishes
One-shot them all.
This vessel, I.
This 522k, 521k, it would have killed the enemy's last reset. In the prior reset, where the enemies had barely less than 500k HP, this attack over here would have obliterated all of them. They would all be done. They would all be dead. They would not be alive anymore. And on this reset, they don't. And the proof of that is here. Here's an Imeth Liberation from a reset 2 months ago that only did 430k damage. It left one of those guys with like barely any fucking HP. Enough HP where 60k would have just wiped out the rest of it. Because that's the amount that they had in some of the resets before this. Do you see how this endgame mode has already gotten fucked up? People are reporting scores, ladies and gentlemen, in Infinite Torrents that are like 1,000 points lower than what they had before. They're talking about scores, right, where they used to be getting like 3k, 2.7k. They're now down to like 2.5, 2.3. And do you actually want to know what the biggest issues are with this level of HP inflation? This dynamic over here. Do you see how one guy is low HP and then the rest have freshly spawned in and have full HP? You can't move into the next wave of Whimpering Wastes unless you clear all the guys in the past wave. What have you noticed in all of these gameplay clips that I'm showing you of teams that are suffering even with the current level of HP inflation? They're all critting consistently at 100%. That's because Imeth and Hiyuki, right? Because of their echo sets, Hiyuki gains 25%. She's at 99.2%. Imeth has 96.6%, right? She gains 20% from hers. These guys that we're using in WhiWa that are barely leaving the enemies alive, they're critting at close to 100% crit rate. And that means they're getting consistent performance like this. What if you end up in a situation where you're using any of the older characters that simply don't have 100% crit rate, and then they're ending up in these AoE situations
Assuming master control.
where the rest of their clear ends up looking like this,
survive the Exos?
where it doesn't even matter that they damage the other enemies, because you still have to end up finishing off these guys. That's what missing crits does to you in this game mode. It extends your clear time like fucking crazy and fucks you harder even more. Because you already missed damage. Now you're gonna miss the next wave spawning because they don't spawn in until the first wave actually dies. That just basically makes it so that right now, with the HP inflation that's in the game, and that's in Whimpering Wastes, 20% everywhere, unless you're using essentially 100% crit rate characters, almost all of your runs to get a decent score will involve an insane amount of crit fishing. Because if you ever end up in a situation like this, where again, you're just extending your rotation.
How did that dude survive?
That guy died. The rest of these guys should have died too.
I have the Exos.
You're just extending it like this instead of moving on.
Did they actually
to the next wave like this? Because that's what occurs, ladies and gentlemen. Just look at the lead up. Just look at the lead up over here.
Blade cleaves the night.
All right, let's go do this.
Burst in light. Come on, little one.
We waste an attack. And then just look over here and then see how these guys end up surviving.
That is a little bit.
One guy dies. So one guy freshly spawns in. The rest of these guys have like 200 HP.
Cringe, actually.
And so I have to ult
I
that.
don't really like having to use my ult here, but it is what it is, right?
Now one guy's almost dead, and then the two other ones spawn in. That is the impact of missing crits. That is what makes this game mode so cancerous sometimes. And the fact that they've added HP inflation on top of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, to make the impact of you missing crits even worse. Why do you think that there's only like a top number of recommended characters from WhiWa? It's Imeth, because she has 100% crit. Hiyuki, because she has 100% crit as well. For Lova, because guess what she has over here, ladies and gentlemen? 20% crit rate from her Echo set, so she's at 100% too, essentially. And as the last sort of like essential WhiWa character, you got Sigrika. You see 77.3% over here. Oh wait, her Echo set gives her 20% as well. When characters have a natural crit rate that's like this fucking high, they can't run into any of these goddamn issues. And in the past, where Whimpering Wastes resets, they just didn't have as much HP as they do now. You were sort of able to muscle through it. But with more HP, that just means more opportunities to miss more crits on the enemies. And the more crits you end up missing, bro, if you missed it on one, you might as well have missed it on all of them. Because what's the point of killing one guy faster than the rest if this is what's just going to result from your fucking clear?
How did that dude survive the...
It's still the same goddamn clear time, you're just damaging one less enemy. That's why HP inflation is so bad in this game mode. It's better to have more waves that you can miss crits on and still kill than to have fewer waves that take longer to kill, that have more HP, and that you can get fucked over more easily with. And they're taking the opposite approach. Probably because of this feedback. Players were probably pissed that it didn't feel good to use Imith, and that it didn't feel good to use Hiyuki, because they were one-shotting everything. That's one of the big issues with these characters in the older resets. They would overkill all of the mobs. And then when you overkilled the mobs like this, ladies and gentlemen, well, a lot of your damage ends up disappearing into nowhere. Now they fixed the overkilling issue. Sure, you can just unload a fully charged Hiyuki Liberation into one-shot them all.
This vessel.
An elite wave of enemies, and they will fucking survive 520k damage. Is that like, I don't know if that's good for the game. I think that's actually kind of bad for the game, if we're frankly being honest here. But this is the alternative that they went for. Less waves, more HP per wave, and then more reliance on crit fishing. Because God forbid you end up with one of these dudes surviving, and then you basically gotta... Bro, it's like damaging a fresh... It's like damaging another one of these 600 HP guys. That's why these resets have gotten so hard. That's why these resets have gotten so ridiculous. And that's why people's scores, unless they're using some of the specific characters that I talked about, the Hiyukis, the Imiths, the Sigrikas, and the Furlovas, unless you're using these close to 100% crit rate characters, your consistency has probably gone to shit. And so your score going down likely isn't the result of you getting worse or your character builds getting worse. It's just you not doing enough runs because now your clears are essentially reliant on crits.
The Exo Strider.
So you simply don't end up in a situation like this where you're damaging 2 out of the 3 waves of enemies. Fucking disaster. And then you combine that with the fucking bullshit AI that they're putting on these mining reindeers and these cyan-feathered herons, bro. Dude, these guys go everywhere. These guys literally go everywhere, and so if you don't kill them, bro, now you have 600k HP reindeers prancing around. You thought Chop Chops were bad. Bro, Chop Chops had like 200k HP. Bro, Chop Chops had like half the HP of these motherfuckers over here. And then you got the one cost. Dude, add some weight to these motherfuckers. Can you make it so that these one costs don't get ungrouped by somebody like breathing? Bro, I'm pretty sure if you had a LAN party, one of your friends talking next to you would knock back the mobs here. Bro, I don't even know what it is. Like, it's just, they were made to like be fucking pieces of paper mache that go flying everywhere at the lightest breeze, but then they're also tanky as fuck. Bro, if they're gonna weigh nothing, can they blow up from nothing? Why do they gotta weigh nothing, fly everywhere, but then also have 200k HP at the same fucking time? It's absurd. It is insane. And the work that's been done on the mobs in this reset to just make them feel as bad as possible, I'm gonna be honest, it should be studied. Then you're gonna combine it with arrow resistance. Kuro, 90% of the fucking characters you released in like the past year are arrow. If you can't use, or you're not supposed to use arrow characters, who are you supposed to fucking use? Like, straight up, this has been, if you're trying to avoid resistance, this might be one of the worst resets I've ever seen. You can't use Augusta, because that's Electro. You're not supposed to use Sigrika, Shakota, her, Cardathea, or Gian. What the fuck? That just shouldn't be done at a baseline with the roster that you have. That would be like adding fusion resistance too. Dumb as shit. Half the roster is fusion and half the roster is arrow. It's just not a sensical thing to do to ever put those as resistances in here. Especially when you just released Sigrika as well in the past update version 3.2. Bro, she didn't even get one full version to not get any resistance. All in all, you can probably see what's going on over here. And I haven't even touched on the whole token situation yet. We're probably going to save that for a separate video. The tokens fucking suck dick in this reset too. I don't know what's actually good in this reset. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's good. I think there's more bad than there is. I can't think of a single good thing to say about anything in here. I guess the one costs don't have annoying moves, but like, yeah, they're getting staggered so much it's not like they'd be able to use them. This might actually be the worst reset that they've ever had in history. You have annoying ass mobs with mobility, and they're made out of wind, resistances that are awful, and then 20% HP inflation on basically everything that has made older characters feel pretty much unplayable. Pretty much completely unplayable. And now having 100% crit rate feels like the most mandatory thing.
Attack initiating criticality protocol.
This was bad in the past reset. It's even worse now. Bro, just look at how long I'm stuck at.
Are the enemies just like really fucking tanky or what? I'm not gonna lie, this team looks like dog ass right now.
That's what I thought before 2 months ago, bro. Bro, I thought they were too tanky and it was dog ass 2 months ago. I just missed a crit. But that whole thing about them being too tanky and dog ass, no, that's entirely right now. How are you supposed... Bro, I don't even think anything in the game can one-shot the 3 costs now. I don't think that there's a single attack in the fucking game that can one-shot these guys. What do you fucking do, bro? I think you need to have the Burning Waves debuff active for you to one-shot anything now. Maybe that's like the goal. Maybe it's supposed to buy sequence nodes. I don't fucking know. But I feel like attacks like the Exo Strider and I feel like attacks like Hiyuki's Second Liberation.
Oh, there we...
Fully charged. Yeah, I think they should be one-shotting, bro. I think they should be. I think 600k might be a little bit too much in multi-wave content game mode. None of the characters in the game even hit enough to get close to this. Why are we doing this here? That's going to be our talk. That's going to be our breakdown of all the issues that I find with HP inflation, specifically when it comes to WhiWa in this reset. And I'm just going to be honest, Kuro's gone way too far with this one. I hope that if this is a permanent increase, this is the last one for like a year or two or maybe you need to like buff Burning Waves or something like that. Because right now, there are very few teams that actually feel good in practice. Every single team is like scoring lower. Yeah, I don't know a single 1.0 character that can even get close to handling this right now. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.